Jen Psaki is about to give her daily press briefing. President Biden is trying to focus on the supply chain crisis, which is expected to worsen. His COVID response team also scheduled to give an update on the pandemic this afternoon, and we are monitoring it all.
We are, and also President Biden continuing to struggle in the polls as we begin what is year 2 of his presidency. Take a look here, folks. His approval numbers declining significantly over the past year. And you can see no matter what group it is, Democrats, Republicans, overall, it is just bad for Biden. It's pretty bad, John, when even your base is saying you're doing a terrible job.
Yeah, you look in the drop. I mean, just the change between where he was in February and now, it's actually fallen off more with Democrats. So that's an interesting take. Also, Bianca, but this morning we were talking about this AP NROC poll, which asked folks, would you like to see Biden run for re-election in 2024? 28% said yes, 70% said no. So
they keep falling. And, you know, he's talking again today, which is kind of interesting. It's sort of been a press conference bonanza this week. You have to wonder why. Maybe they're just throwing their hands in the air, John, saying, hey, at this point, it can't be much worse.
Right. You can't not do anything. He's facing criticism as well for spending too much time in Delaware. So he's got to get out there, and we'll see what comes of it. We will see you as well, Bianca, coming up later in the program. So stay tuned for more on that. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Congress and the increasing scrutiny on their investments. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi now says that she is open to legislation that would make it more difficult for members of Congress to trade in individual stocks. At her news conference yesterday, she also talked about the integrity of her colleagues.
It's the greatest collection of intellect, integrity, and imagination for doing the right thing for the American people. I have great confidence in the integrity of my members.
Okay, let's welcome in now Trish Regan from the Trish Regan Show, editor-in-chief of TrishIntel.com. Trish, don't laugh. Don't laugh. It's the greatest collection of intellect and integrity anyone's ever seen before. What do you make of that comment first before we talk about the stocks?
Wishful thinking. I mean, the spin machine at work. I mean, if you say it enough, maybe people will believe it. I'm sorry. I think that politicians, unfortunately, have developed themselves a very, very, very bad reputation. And, you know, they're in it for themselves. They're in it to get reelected. And then you think about what you just mentioned with Nancy Pelosi. Do we really, I mean, we really have to go down this path? I'm shocked that it's been allowed for this long, that anybody would be able to invest, you know, knowingly in companies that will be affected by policies that you're making a decision on. I mean, there should be absolutely, you know, a Chinese wall, so to speak, between members of Congress, their families, and what they're investing in. It's just, it's total hypocrisy again. You know, she can say it all she wants. Americans know better.
They do know better. They know about this revolving door. And I mean, it's reflected in the polling here. The conservative group, Convention States for Action, they found that 76% of voters believe that lawmakers and their spouses have an unfair advantage. There was also a separate poll done by this group called Data for Progress, a progressive firm. They found that 67% of Americans are in support of banning this. So, Trish, methinks that Nancy Pelosi may have seen the polling, and that's why she's now changing her tune on this.
She's doomed, okay? I'm sorry, but I do not believe, unless there's some kind of miracle, that this woman will be Speaker of the House come 2022. They are absolutely doomed. All of their policies have failed. All of their big projects have clearly failed. And now they're resorting, as you heard the president in his press conference, along with Kamala Harris going on the morning show rounds, trying to suggest that elections will be illegitimate if they don't win in 2022. I don't see him, by the way, getting banned from Twitter for that one.
No, that's the...
somehow it's okay when he says it. I mean, look, they know that they're doomed because when you have the economy doing as poorly as this one, when you have such massive disasters on an international scale, John, whether it be Afghanistan, we know well how poorly that went, whether it be Ukraine right now, Americans, you know, they're not stupid. We're not stupid people. We get it. We know what's going on. And so she's out of a job come 22.
Yeah, they like to talk about the voter suppression we saw in 2020, like those 24-hour drop-off ballot locations in Harris County, Texas, that type of stuff. I mean, they want to make sure that stuff is in place forever. And some more poll numbers. We were just talking about this with Bianca. I mean, just 28% of the people, Trish, in this AP NROC poll said they want to see Joe Biden run again in 2024. I mean, how do you fight that? if you're Joe Biden, because you start to see the Democrats saying, what do we need a contingency plan besides Joe Biden.
Oh, but isn't the contingency plan Hillary Clinton?
Yes.
Didn't we hear that? Look, if you're Joe, perhaps you say, well, I wasn't going to run a second time anyway. Think about Kamala, though. Kamala's in a bad spot because she's tainted by Joe, and frankly, she's tainted by herself, right? And her inability to get things done, and her inability to communicate well with others, and frankly, her inability to lead, as you see more and more people leave her office. So they have no bench. They have absolutely no bench. Joe knows he's doing a bad job. Kamala and her staff clearly know it's not going well. And so the Democratic Party is floundering, and they're looking around like, who can we run? And they're coming up with Hillary Clinton. That says it all, John. Really, to me, that says it all.
Well, I mean, maybe she's taking a page out of Joe Biden's playbook. I mean, he was a two-time loser before he won on his third attempt. Your point is so well taken, Trish, because the lack of depth on the Democrats' bench, Hillary Clinton is the last person that anyone can remember who might actually have some crossover appeal, even though I don't think it's much, obviously. But the fact they're also talking about Hillary Clinton running against Donald Trump again when she could not beat him the first time, I mean, what is the difference between now and then? Do we want a rematch of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? Is that inevitable here, Trish?
Heck yeah. I would love to see a rematch between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Like, I think the Democrats are hoping that people were exhausted by, the constant negativity that the media was putting on Donald Trump. And so, I think that's in part why some people in the middle, don't forget, John, chose to vote for Joe Biden, because they were just exhausted, and they figured, oh, this guy that's hanging out in his basement, I don't know anything about his policy, but he seems like a nice enough guy, and things are going kind of well. How messed up could it really be? And now they're discovering how messed up it really could be. In other words, policy matters. You need a good team in place. You need the right kind of economic policy, the right kind of foreign policy in order to govern the country. And so I don't quite get it, though. I mean, Democrats, they should be sensitive to the fact that her negativity is very, very high. Right, John? So a lot of people, they voted for Trump almost as a vote against Hillary.
Yes.
So I think that the Trump camp, or Republicans in general, regardless of who runs in 2024 as the nominee, I think that they would welcome Hillary Clinton coming back onto the ticket. Whether or not it's a good thing for the Democratic Party, I think it would actually be very challenging for them, given, again, this negativity that surrounds her. And don't forget, this is a party that continually eats its young. Think about Tulsi Gabbard and the promise that she had for the party, and they just destroyed her, including Hillary Clinton and her team, destroying her, accusing her of being a Russian spy. So who the heck wants it? It's like, Hillary or nothing. God forbid you actually decide to run up against her and you suddenly are accused of being a Russian spy.
It's such an interesting point, too. And, the Obama administration and President Obama himself gets a lot of blame for kind of clearing the benches here and sucking up so much of the attention that's why we have this dearth of talent on the Democratic side of things. Is there anybody else on the Republican side? I mean, a lot of talk about Ron DeSantis, and we'll discuss this later. Is there anybody but Donald Trump, Trish, you think that could do it?
I think anybody who runs right now can do it. I mean, I think that, the Democrats are in that bad a position, given the economic situation, given the foreign situation, given our border situation. I mean, all of this has caught up with them, and people have realized the importance of having better policy. Just look at what happened in Virginia, right?
Yep.
Parents wanting to have a bigger role in their kids' education. All of these issues are really coming into focus, and that's important because we need those issues to be very much the focus. In terms of who's out there, I do think Donald Trump wants to run again. I think that he would see quite a bit of success if he ran again. Ron DeSantis, though, Governor DeSantis has really proven that, if you put the right kinds of policies in place in a state like Florida, good things happen. And so he's got a heck of a track record to run on. I think it'll be interesting to see how this field shakes out. A lot of people will not want to run against Donald Trump. They'll be fearful of that. We'll see with Ron DeSantis. But it shouldn't be, let me just say, it shouldn't be that hard to beat the Democrats come 24, only because of their utter failure that we are seeing now 1 year into this.
I think it's interesting, too, when you talk about potential nominees for 2024, Democrat versus Republican. We're talking about this clash of the titans on the Republican side. And on the Democratic side, it's like, who's left? And that tells us a lot about where things stand now with both of these parties. Trish, great to see you as always. Catch the podcast, Trish Intel, as well.